Hi, Kelly here from freebiefindingmom.com, and thank you for joining me for another Friday session of Money Talk, where we get together on Fridays and go over usually a couple of the more popular finance or money related questions that you have had here on the Freebie Finding Mom Facebook page from the past week. So by the way, before I get started, if you will please give this video a like or a heart, I would appreciate it. And if you find it helpful for you, if you could share it to your Facebook page, that would be great. All right, so the first question we have comes from Chelsea, and Chelsea wants to know, she says, when you're looking to finance we're looking to finance our first home. Besides interest rate, what are the most important factors to consider when you're deciding on a bank for a mortgage? You guys really nailed this one. There's only like one other thing I would maybe have added to this, and I'll share with you at the end. But you guys really hit on all the main points here for Chelsea. So Tammy said what really dictated their choice for choosing a bank was, she said they needed knowledgeable loan officers, which is something I didn't think about, Tammy, so thank you for sharing that one. She said, we knew we would have to do a no down payment loan, so I wanted someone well versed in the options. She said, I talked to 3 basically different banks before choosing one, and they had no regrets with going with the one they went with. So that is a good point that Tammy makes there, Chelsea, because if that was kind of a non-standard loan that they were taking out, and so having not only the option to have that type of a loan, but having a loan officer that was knowledgeable enough that would be able to kind of walk them through that was really important. So thank you, Tammy, for that one, because like I said, I actually wasn't even thinking about that one. Next, Charlotte says rate, fees, and closing costs are important to look at. She said the shorter the term, the more you save in interest. However, if it's a 30-year and a 15-year have the same rate, she says go with your 30-year and pay extra or double each month. She said you never know when you have a large expense which will hit and might make it unrealistic for you to pay the higher payment on the house. Very good point, Charlotte. So, Chelsea, Charlotte's advice is if your 15-year and your 30-year mortgage loans are comparable to each other, rate-wise, fees-wise, that sort of thing, you may need to think about it anyways, give yourself some flexibility and go with the longer-term loan and then pay double each month if that's an option for you. And then, maybe you have a high expense, something goes out, the car or something like that goes out 1 month and money's a little bit tighter. That gives you some flexibility if you can't make double the payment. So that's a good point there as well, Charlotte. So thanks for sharing that. And then Melissa said, look at the length of the loan. And she said, obviously a 15-year can save you a lot as long as that is in your budget, of course. Heather says, yep, look at your fees, your closing costs, and your down payment. So you guys really nailed the main things that I was thinking of, which is fees, your closing costs, and obviously your interest rate, down payment, that kind of thing. The only thing I would also add to that, and like I said, I love Tammy's suggestion, is making sure that your bank has knowledgeable loan officers and people that you kind of want to work with, that you get along with, have a good rapport with, that sort of thing. So that was a good point, Tammy. I didn't think about that. Another point that I would add here, when you're trying to decide where to finance your house or what either credit union or bank to go through, I would look at it also is, are you going to do any other financing at that institution? I know, for instance, when we moved from Ohio to Maryland here a couple years ago, and we were looking at different banks to do our financing, I wanted to ideally do some other financing there as well. So meaning I wanted to handle having a savings there. I wanted to set up an account for our son there. So also look at kind of what else they have there to offer you. I wouldn't say it's a deal breaker if they don't really have maybe great savings rates or great checking rates or anything like that. I wouldn't consider that a deal breaker, but it would just be a nice thing to look at and to know in advance, so you could potentially have everything all in one place, which would be nice. And then, for instance, ask questions like, is the institution going to make you have a checking account there? If so, what is their going rate at their checking account? Make sure they're pretty competitive with stuff like that. So again, maybe it wouldn't be a deal breaker, but it would definitely be something that I would research when you are looking at deciding which bank or financial institution to finance through. So anyways, good question, and thank you guys so much for your feedback on that one. The next question we have comes from Kristen. Kristen said, everyone I know is either going to Disney World for vacation or going on some kind of a vacation, except for me, and it's driving me crazy. She said, growing up, we used to go on vacation every year, but our family can't afford it. Do you have any advice on how to deal with this? Because we won't be in a position to take a vacation for at least 4 or 5 years. All right, so Kristen, thank you for your question, and I hope you checked out everybody's responses on this question, because hopefully you will get a good amount of comfort from that, because you are definitely not alone in that you can't take a vacation every year. There's many of us that are not taking vacations every year. So check out everybody's comments here, and if you're in a similar situation, you can still view Kristen's question on the Facebook page, so find that and then just read through everybody's, because I'm not going to go through all of the responses right now, but there's several that I do want to mention. Sarah, for instance, Sarah had a really good suggestion. She said, if this is a factor, consider taking a break from whatever social media is making it seem that everyone is taking a vacation. She said, remember that people tend to only show their highlight reel, which can make it seem like life comes easy to everyone, but you're probably only seeing the best moments of a select few. Great point, Sarah. I know personally, like when I say my husband just annoyed me, and then I'll get on social media and I'll see like friend posting about her anniversary and how much she loves her husband. I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's even worse than I thought, or like my son does something annoying and then I get on social media and then I see like people posting pictures about their kid wins all these awards or something, and I'm like, geez, like just kind of makes your situation seem a little bit worse. But don't let it, because Kristen, like Sarah said, there are people who are not going to show all the bumps and bruises that are happening on the daily, okay? They're probably going to show you some of the best stuff. So just remember to keep that in mind. And then Sarah goes on to also say, try to find restful, fun, inexpensive, or free things to do near home in the meantime. Seek out zoos, parks, beaches, playgrounds, and try a new craft or art form. Check out festivals, go to the local library, go to amusement parks or museums for the day. Great suggestion, Sarah. So the key is, Kristen, is to really not focus on what you're not doing and look at all the options of things you can do around you. No matter where you live, you're going to have a park, I'm sure. You're going to probably have some kind of an amusement park, hopefully that's drivable. And there's museums, hopefully, or at least some sort of, an outing, like a kids' play area that you can take the kids to throughout the summer. So there's lots of stuff, I'm sure, around you. It may not be as exciting as going on a major vacation, but it's kind of really what you make of it. And as long as you kind of spin it to the kids, not like, oh, we're not doing a vacation, but more like, look at all the stuff around us that we get to do. If you kind of have more of a positive spin on it, I think everyone will probably enjoy that. Karen said, I've only been out of town on a vacation once. She said, one time, she said, my entire adult life, and I'm 56 years old. Instead, we do camping, day trips, hiking, and she said, not everyone wants to go to or can afford Disney, basically. So great point, Karen, and thank you for that perspective. So Kristen, another person who doesn't take a regular vacation. There's many of us that don't. I know what you're saying, though, Kristen, because especially around where we live here in Maryland, it seems like on spring break, everybody disappears in our neighborhood. And it's pretty much just me and my son hanging around here. Like my husband's at work, so it's like, it seems like everybody's gone, but they're not. But it can seem that way, I understand. And then Denise goes on to say, do free local festivals, camp out in the backyard, complete with a bonfire, hot dogs and s'mores, or stargazing. So my son would love that. Like that would be so fun. The thing that's great is if you do kind of more of these kind of smaller adventures throughout the summer, Kristen, remember that you have more stuff to look forward to. If you just have one major vacation, it always seems like, it's exciting, but then when it's over, it's like, now what? Or we have to just wait for school to start. So if you plan several of these little, day trips, maybe do like like Denise said, like maybe camping out, go to an amusement park another day, have several things throughout the summer. You have so many more things for you and the kids to look forward to as well. And then Denise goes on to say, just be creative, and like Sarah said, people are only sharing the highlights. It's about the joy we put in our kids' lives every day that remains a fond memory. That's so true, Denise, that's so true. I know, like, if you ask me any vacation I remember from growing up, I probably don't remember, like, hardly any vacations. And we didn't take them every year, that was for sure. But what I can tell you is I remember things like one time our parents took us to an arcade at the mall. We didn't get to do that often. So when we went to the arcade, that was like a huge thing. So I remember that really well, actually. And then getting all these tickets and then getting prizes. So stuff like that doesn't necessarily cost a lot of money, but that can be really memorable and fun. So there's lots of options out there, Kristen. And then Danielle said, we only go on a big trip every 5 or 6 years. She said, we have a family of 7. We try to go to whatever events are nearby in the summer, like free concerts or at the park or the zoo. She said, just things like that to keep the kids entertained. Exactly. There's so many of those things around. Bonnie said, instead of focusing on what you don't and can't have, perhaps make plans for staycation. Yep. And then Bonnie went on to say she grew up in a family of 7. It was 5 girls under the age of 10. And when she was growing up, she actually never really got to go on a real vacation. And she said, basically the thing that to keep in mind is she never felt deprived about it. She said that the precious time they had, they would go visit grandparents and they would stay with relatives, and they had a ton of fun and made a lot of memories doing that. but they never felt like they were missing out on a big vacation. So I think, Kristen, like I say, it's all perspective, and it's all kind of how you kind of spin it to the kids, and kind of keep their expectations, realistic. If it's not in the budget, it's not in the budget, but there's so many other things you can be doing. And then Rachel said, no advice, just understanding. She said, we probably won't get anything resembling a vacation this year either. If you don't count trips to visit relatives, we've probably never taken a vacation, so you're definitely not alone. So Rachel, thank you for that. So Kristen, another person not taking a vacation, and probably definitely not doing it on a regular basis either. And then Chris said, you sound like me. Chris goes on to say they had a graduation trip planned to Walt Disney World for the second week of June, but basically what happened is their taxes came in higher than they thought. Their heating pump went out, it cost them $5,000, and then their 10-year-old van had to be replaced because of engine troubles. So needless to say, their Disney vacation was canceled this year, which disappointed their 10-year-old son, but he was understanding, and so stuff like that happens. So they're hoping, whenever their financial situation gets better, then they can replan that trip. Thank you, Chris, for sharing that. I appreciate that. And then Patty went on to say, again, local amusement parks, is that an option for you? I know that's a good point, Patty, because I know, like my son, honestly, he wanted to go to Disney this year, and it's just not going to happen. So, but what I did as a compromise is I bought tickets to go to Hershey Park in Pennsylvania here, which is 2.5 hours from where we are. So so it's a compromise. It's not Disney, but I think you can still ride rides and play games and do all that kind of stuff. So yeah, like Patty said, look maybe a local amusement park. She said the last time she went to Disneyland was in 2016. They don't take long vacations either. She said most of what they do is staycations as well. So yeah, I think the big key is for you, Kristen, is really look at all the options around you. Spin it to the kids, and remember for yourself, it's really what you make of it. And a lot of the best thing, like I say, is having a lot of little things to look forward to throughout the summer and not just one big event. And you're not putting yourself in any debt to go on that vacation, which is great as well. And other advice I would give you, Kristen, is maybe back off social media, at least for the summertime, when people are going to probably be posting a lot of their vacation pics, and it's probably not going to make it any easier. So maybe just kind of keep that in perspective, or just remember you're only going to see the best part. You're not going to see when the kids were melting down in the airport, or when they were throwing a fit at the souvenir shop. They're not going to show you pictures like that. They're going to show when everybody's smiling, having a blast. So anyways, just remember it's not all roses for everybody, and that a lot of us are not taking annual vacations. Okay, a couple other things but thank you, Kristen, for your question, and thank you guys so much. I didn't read through all of your responses, but there were a lot of them, and I really appreciate it, and I'm sure Kristen does too. So a couple other things I want to mention. One is, if you are on Instagram, or even if you're not, I highly encourage you to check out Instagram, because it is quickly becoming my favorite social media platform. It's a really kind of a fun way to share sort of behind the scenes. So if you will, follow me on Instagram if that's of interest to you. I'll drop the link for my profile in the comments here as I hop off this video. But it's fun. I love watching the stories. I love shooting stories for you guys and kind of give you a behind the scenes. I can also kind of tell you sort of what you can expect on the blog and that sort of thing. So if you want to see more of a personal perspective, I guess, of Freebie Finding Mom, that check out Instagram. And then, like I said, I'll drop my profile in the comments, and you can follow if that is of interest to you. And then one other thing is, if you are interested in getting your Essential Oils Premium Starter Kit, do it this month, because you're going to get those 2 awesome freebies, and that ends though the end of May. So you're going to get that free huge bottle of the household cleaner with your kit purchase, and you'll get a glass spray bottle. But that is only valid through the end of May. So if that is of interest, I will drop a link as well down in the comment, so you can pick up your premium starter kit from Young Living as well. As always, thank you guys so much for taking the time to send me your comments, also your questions as well, and just tune in every week. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.